I'm resident of Collinwood for YouTube, Joel Sage. That is my buddy Butch Rosenbalm. That is my buddy Patrick McCray. That is my buddy Gallant. We're here to review the movie Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, starring Paul Newman and Robert Redford. Butch first. When did you first see this movie, and what did you think, buddy?
First time I've actually sit and watched it completely through. I mean, it's one of those films that's on enough that I've caught bits and pieces over the year. But to sit through and actually watch it was about 3 days ago. And this is my pen, and here's Joel's balloon. I'm not impressed with this film. I do not understand what the big deal is. The chemistry between Newman and Redford's great. There's some great scenes. I just feel like this is a selection of scenes strung together by two characters. I didn't care about what was going on too much, and it's not bad, but for a movie that I've been told is one of the greatest films of all time, and it's this and it's wonderful and it's that, I
told you that. I never thought of it that way, to be honest. I like it, but I never thought of it as
its reputation
I understand.
is pretty intoxicating.
Yeah, it's true, and it has something to do with George Roy Hill, I think, as well, and it also has to do with the sort of mythology of it's Redford and Newman, and what happened to them afterwards as actors, and how they became sort of elevated as actors. But yeah, I mean, I never got that either in terms of it being like one of the all-time greats. I like it, but not that much.
Yeah. Patrick, what did you think?
I like, as I said earlier on the cab ride over to the studio, we were talking, and I said, I like any 10 minutes of the movie. It's really unusual. There's a sort of a whole genre of movies like this, where you watch any 10 minutes of it and you think, wow, that's a hell of a movie. That's really something. This is really hanging together, and then watching it all assembled, it's almost like a puzzle that you would buy at the Louvre, but each piece is of a different wonderful painting. And if you just look at that piece, you recognize, that's a Bruegel, that's this or that. And it's a fantastic painting. But if you were to put it together, it doesn't provide something you really want to hang on the wall. And more than that, none of the pieces actually fit together. So there are no edge pieces. It's just kind of
an awkward quilt.
Yeah, I was looking forward to it because I like William Goldman. He uses this movie as his example of a good screenplay in Adventures in the Screen Trade. And so I was William Goldman for me doesn't write a boring movie. Except this. And I wanted to like it because his reputation really preceded it. And as I was telling the fellas at Jilly's earlier, I watched it with my father, who is of that era and big fan of this movie, and he hadn't seen it for a decade or two. And it was weird. Sometimes I think you just pick up a reading of a movie from the person you're with, even if they're not saying anything.
Yeah,
it's a weird phenomenon. And then sometimes, I don't know, just stuff happens. He was kind of baffled at what he had liked about it. He wasn't sure. It was not the movie he remembered it being. He remembered it being just this kind of, wonderful, whitewater rafting trip of sparkling dialogue. And the dialogue is good. And even the flat dialogue is handled very well.
Yeah.
I mean, I like these two guys. I like hanging out with them. But eventually, I feel like we all just want to pick up some magazines and read them quietly together. It's kind of like, well, we've had fun now, and now we're going to do this. And of course, it's filled with wonderful character actors, And what a cast. I mean, just a throwaway is Ted Cassidy, who gets to play a human.
Yes.
And he's very good.
He is.
I knew he was a good actor going, ugh, but I would have been happy to see a Ted Cassidy vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
Based on this. I mean, he was a lovely voice, very charming actor. He's a real standout in the film. And of course, I'm a big George Firth fan. The guy who is guarding the big money train at the beginning of the movie, that guy, of course, he's in Blazing Saddles. Howard Johnson is right. He's that guy. But he also is a very prominent playwright who helped bring the American musical into art, into making an actual art form that the medium rarely captured again and has totally deviated from. But when he wrote a play called Company that Stephen Sondheim put to music, and so he's a really inventive guy, and he's funny in Dr. Detroit also.
Yes.
He plays Stridlow's father,
yes,
I believe, in Dr. Detroit. So that's my rambling free association hell review of the movie.
I think this movie, from a cinematography standpoint, has good moments. It has good scenery. The chemistry between Redford and Newman, it is good for their first film. But also keep in mind, too, Robert Redford was no stranger to being in movies. He was already an accomplished actor by this point. It wasn't going to be too hard for him to go off Paul Newman. In many ways, this is, and here's where I'll get into the history, this is the comic version of Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid. Because Butch Cassidy was a real son of a bitch. In every way, he was a mean bastard.
An historical figure, sure. Yeah, they were both tough. They had to be.
They touch upon it very smallly
during
the fight sequence when Butch Cassidy tells him, "If I lose, I know I'll
kill him."
Kill him. That is the closest to Butch Cassidy, the real Butch Cassidy, we ever get in this movie, other than he was a meticulous planner. Right. That's obviously, but you just keep thinking, Butch, that's your strong suit. But it's also made it a joke at points too.
That's right. They kind of treat all of that lightly in terms of, they try to get chuckles out of it. Mostly.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong. Is there good comedy in this movie? There's great comedy in this movie, but at times, though I like it, it is a parody in its sense, because it's like this isn't what I read of these two figures at times.
No, this isn't a biography. It's not a historical sketch.
Yeah, this is not. Great example. The movie Wyatt Earp and the movie Tombstone, which me and Butch did back to back. Those are yes, they have accuracy issues, but they're more historically accurate than this film will ever be.
Yeah.
And that's the thing too. Like, okay, yes, they robbed trains. Yes, they were robbers. You got that right. Yes, you saw some glimpses of Butch Cassidy's temper. But I mean, it was so notoriously bad. Keep in mind the whole reason the supposed deal with the train company falls apart is because Butch Cassidy was so hot-tempered he didn't trust them.
Right.
Because he had a lawyer. True story. He saved this lawyer's life in a bar fight. And this lawyer said, "I owe you." And this is the lawyer who brokers the deal between the Union Pacific Railroad and Butch Cassidy they'll agree to clear your name and take the bounty off your head if you just meet with them and come talk with them. And he was there, and supposedly Butch Cassidy and Sundance never showed.
Right.
That was that's the historical events that don't really get portrayed in this movie at all, though I believe they did show, though I can't prove that. But nobody's been able to prove to me that they died in Bolivia either. So there you go.
No, it's very fuzzy in terms of that. I mean, obviously that historical record in those times, frontier records in both Bolivia and the United States, would not be particularly exacting anyway.
Yeah. Now, again, I like the comic timing of this movie. I do look. The musical scores in this movie are excellent. Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head, well timed. The bicycle ride scene is just
Back rack, yeah.
as absolutely fun.
Yeah. It is. I love that. I love the chase music too.
Yeah.
You know, it's really it's stimulating. It's
Casino Royale.
Yeah, it's
He's just recycling Casino Royale.
he is, but it works. It's really good in that particular scene. It's really good in that scene.
If they had pulled this back and not made it about two famous outlaws and made it just a buddy comedy Western, this would have probably been a lot better film.
Maybe. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I do think so.
Well, I think he's from the point of view of somebody that is historically interested. He's right, but also they were never going to make you hate either one of these actors, ever.
No,
no.
I mean they're delightful in the movie together.
Right.
Well, here's the thing: America loves outlaws. That's just a historical thing.
Yeah, it's the Robin Hood syndrome.
Right. Jesse James.
The Unabomber, David Koresh,
William Bonney. You get into those. People love American outlaws.
Mm-hmm.
And
John Wayne Gacy.
Yes, Gacy, lovely man.
But you get what I'm saying. They should have not made this about Butch and Sundance. They should have just found a way to make it a Western comedy that wasn't about two historical figures, and you didn't really have the full-on accuracy to back it up. Yes, they do get across Butch as a meticulous planner. They do get some of his hot temper out, but not to the extent you read about. Where I learned about Butch Cassidy in the Sundance Kid in 5th grade. I learned about a lot of Western outlaws in the 5th grade, and it's like this. This was not okay. Yes, Butch Cassidy was one of the quickest draws in the West. Yes, that's accurate. But here's the thing. Sorry, Sundance Kid. But Butch Cassidy was no lightweight either with a gun, and they don't really. I feel they don't do it justice that way. Do I like this movie better than you guys do? Yeah, sure, I do.
Well, I like it. I just think it's flawed. That's all.
Right. No, historically, historically, it is flawed. It's not good.
And the scenarios don't, as Patrick said before, the scenarios don't stitch together as nicely as they could have as well. It's like we're going to concentrate on the scintillating dialogue and the relationship between these two guys, and we'll throw in Catherine Ross to add a little bit of kink and tension occasionally, but they don't even take that really where it could go.
Yeah.
Who was in the sequel?
Well, in the sequel, it was
sequel.
Catherine Ross was in one movie, wasn't she? Mrs. Sundance or something like that.
Was she?
I think so.
I'm talking about Butch and Sundance, the early days.
Oh no, that was William Catt, and I forget who the other guy was. But yeah,
John Houseman.
Yes, as the Sundance Kid.
Great. And then really Joseph Cotton and John Houseman playing a young Butch and Sundance to the confusion of everyone.
That's right.
Oh my God.
Tom Berenger.
Tom Berenger, yeah.
Okay. Butch, what was one of your favorite scenes, at least?
Joel, I like to try to plan ahead, and you're good at asking certain questions over and over, and I'm like, and I this scene drew me in. This scene was like, all right, it's the black and white scene there at the beginning with the poker game, and Sundance is the guy's like, oh, he's there in the poker, and the guy's like, yeah, you've won every hand, and you're so good, I can't even tell you're cheating. And Robert Redford, my generation, everybody knows, whether you're a big fan of him or not, you grew up with Robert Redford.
Mm-hmm.
I always thought of him as like, kind of a mild, he's an actor and everything. But that scene, just the look on his face, I'm like, damn, Robert Redford never looked
Yeah.
like a badass.
Yeah, he
just
went to
then.
a really dark place after he was accused of being a cheater. Yeah, he did.
And being black and white, just, oh my God. I mean, it's just like, here is some great nectar of the gods that we can drink.
Mhm.
And that whole scene, and Paul Newman's like, why don't you ask us to stay? And I mean, it
Please.
seems stupid. I mean, you almost want to laugh, but it's dead serious.
Yeah.
And that whole scene flows so well. You see these two actors pretty much at the top of their game, as far as I'm concerned.
Mm-hmm.
And the third actor, I don't remember. I looked up his name, and I'm sorry I didn't jot it down. He does a good job, and it's just like, I was like, holy shit, this isn't some silly film. I don't know, because I always had the bicycle sequence in my head with raindrops keeps falling on my head, pun intended.
And the diving off the cliff is another one you get, and the knife fight. Those are iconic scenes. Yeah.
And I was just like, wow. And then it was like, oh, well, that was the high point. I mean, everything you guys have said is right. It's a great buddy picture.
Yeah.
These two guys, and this isn't something you say very much, or at least I don't say much. These two guys have great chemistry.
Mm.
To me, it's like John Wayne and Robert Mitchum and El Dorado. You believe these two guys acting off of each other. You can believe them living these lives. And these two guys are really good at this. But it's like, I don't, there's just, for me, there's just something missing. And it's like, I can't remember if Patrick was there or not, but a group of our mutual friends went to go see the movie Anchorman. And I was like, okay, I'll go. I'm not a Will Ferrell fan. And I'm sitting there. David Mitchell was there. Fred Daly was there. I remember because I was stuck in between them. These are two guys that are like 6'4" and taller. I'm 6'1", and I feel like a midget between these two. But everybody's sitting there, and they're just laughing, and I'm like, what the hell are you all laughing at? This isn't funny. I laughed.
I thought it was very funny, so I didn't see it with you. Yeah.
But for me, it was the same way with this film. It's like, what am I missing? What is this great thing? I mean, am I dumb? Am I not catching something here? It's just, there is something for me that just intrinsically missing from this film. And
what is in it, what may have been responsible for it becoming its reputation as you see it now. It has a lot of moments for promotional films, trailers, etc., that are and also to use in critical analysis. People can use these great clips from it. It's filled with that kind of stuff, like that first scene that you mentioned. The one that I keep thinking about is the knife fight. That's used.
The knife fight's my favorite scene, yeah.
In these critical analyses, and then the one where they dive off the cliff, because it's the dialogue is so crisp in that scene. It's then the reactions and stuff, and that may have something to do with the reputation of the film as a whole. That people. Yeah, go ahead.
It's just there's a lot of scenes.
Yeah.
But we get from here to here.
Yeah, it's patchy.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
But
somebody
I was talking to a friend of mine at work today, and he's quit.
Yeah.
What was that, Butch? I'm sorry.
I was saying I was talking about it with a coworker today, and he compared it to a quilt. It was just a collection, a lot of pretty scenes, but when it was put together, something was missing.
Yeah, it looks. There's times in this movie they're relying on pictures of the actors in scenes like New York and stuff like that. We're not getting films; we're getting pictures. And I'm thinking,
was more shot for this movie than they used? Was it longer? Because they're speaking in those scenes.
They are.
So I can't believe it's all improvisation around a table while they're having a good meal.
Right.
Also, there's a scene that's put into Bolivia. They're speaking English.
Yeah.
I can read lips well enough to know they're speaking English, the people they're talking to. So maybe it was another scene that was supposed to be in the film.
Yeah. I'd like to think there was supposed to be a lot more to this movie, but here's the thing. Because I often think there's times that because the ending, I don't know if this is the reason or not, but the so-called end to Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid's life is so fucking controversial, more controversial than any of the other Western outlaws that got killed, that nobody can even know that they killed or not. And the debate was always, well, were they killed or not? That this movie sort of gets, by the end, it's like, okay, they kill them off in the film. It's like, but here's the thing, I never believed it. I don't really believe they ever went to Bolivia, in my opinion. That's just something that was said. But with that being said, this film does, where it hurts the most, it's like, you needed to make more of a film with these guys. If you're going to make if you're going to have them have all this great dialogue, which they do, they're funny, and they have great chemistry, do some more scenes in the United States, do some actually shooting in New York where they're there, and maybe somebody recognizes them. We don't get that. I mean, you fictionalize this at moments anyway, so why the hell not?
According to IMDb, they were supposed to film the New York scenes when on the Hello Dolly stage, which was being filmed at the same time. And the director was told right before he was going to do it, no, you can't use these stages. So that's why it's a collection of photographs. They were trying to keep it special, hidden, secret, whatever.
Yeah.
But he at least under the impression he'd be able to use it, and he was told no. So that's why you have a bunch of scenes.
Well,
Gene
Kelly has a lot of pull at this time.
Mm-hmm.
And he was the director.
I don't know. I mean,
yeah,
he was the director of Hello Dolly, and he had a lot of pull. And Hello Dolly was this thing that I guess it was his Fox. Yeah, that Fox put everything into in the hopes that it would save the studio from the disaster of Cleopatra, which just had almost a decade's worth of echo.
Yes.
And no, it would be Beyond the Valley of the Dolls that saved 20th Century Fox. It was.
I know.
Yeah.
Love it. I love it. Yeah, they tried to save it with another extravaganza, which didn't kill it, but it did not save it either.
And there's, the shame of it is that, like, you hear terrible things about Cleopatra. The first half of it is actually a very good movie.
Mm-hmm.
All 9 hours of the first half, and
it's the part of the film after Liz and Dick found each other that kind of fell down.
And similarly, Hello Dolly is a good movie. It's a very solid, rendition of the Jerry Herman Show.
It is.
But it's just at the wrong time, the wrong place, and it's and for an audience that was no longer there.
Right. It was the golden age of the American musical was tailing off very quickly at that point in time. Late 60s. So
they wanted
it was really the mid 60s when that was at its height. It had peaked and then came down. So.
Oh goodness. So scale 1 to 10, what do you guys give this movie, Butch? Sir.
5. It's not a bad film. This is not Friday the 13th, the remake, which is a fed piece of shit that doesn't even deserve 1. It's a 5. You've got two good-looking guys that are good actors, got good chemistry, getting along. You got Catherine Ross, like Patrick said. You got a great cast. My first note here is I love Ted Cassidy's voice. I wish I had it.
Great! Wow, is he wonderful in this?
It's almost like somebody took a bunch of postcards and threw them in the air, and then they came down and they said, "Okay, this is how the story's going to go." it's just, it's not bad. I'm not, I'm not trying to talk it down. I just, for me, it just doesn't flow well.
It's like it's like when you take a soap opera and you put just one too many sub stories in it or something, where it's just everything else works and then it just kind of falls, and it's kind of like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a good playwright named Jeffrey Hatcher who wrote a wonderful book on playwriting, and one of the things that he talks about in it is how every story is a suspense story, which is actually something I steal in Dark Shadows Daybook, and that the entire story is about somehow the pursuit of something, and the audience is in suspense. They are suspended between, to be technical, the inciting incidents and that resolution. And how are they going to deal with it? How is Ron going to deal with being threatened by this female anchor? That's essentially the story of Anchorman. Is Ted going to be able to overcome his problems and land the plane in Airplane? That these are suspense stories, and even in something like Magnolia, which is a sprawling movie, lots of stories. I think we're wondering, how is this going to come together? It's told in such a way that we realize these are kind of fractals, but we're wondering how is this going to gel?
And that's the suspense. That's
the suspense.
Yeah.
In this one, they are so accomplished at what they do, and they get along so well, that I don't really have a lot of suspense as to what's going to happen to these guys. With Wild Bunch, they're being pursued by Robert Ryan. We know that that's going to eventually get them, or they're going to get him. But here it feels like it is relying on, and I would say fairly successfully, on the charm of the two leads.
Mm-hmm.
And the suspense really is, I wonder what charming thing they're going to do next, which is okay, because God knows they're charming. And maybe if you approach it with that in mind, that this is a chance to hang out with Paul and Bob, it takes on a different color, sort of like Big Lebowski. You don't really, what the problem with this movie is? There's no MacGuffin.
Mm-hmm.
There's no MacGuffin. There's no thing that they're pursuing that we don't care about, but they do.
Right.
And we care about watching them do it. And I curse myself for saying that, because I hate playwriting, screenwriting 101 kind of, a plot must be this kind of jail thing. But when you go back and look at sometimes why a movie is unsatisfying or why a play is unsatisfying, I hate those teachers, but maybe they're right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because when you look at the two of them when they do the sting, as you said before, the goals are all there. Everything is, the caper is set. They're going to do this. They're going to do that. Are they going to get away with it? That's part of the suspense. But it's all focused. It's a very focused thing.
It's like visiting. It's like the difference between visiting a pond, where the water's really great and the view is lovely, and you can spend a lot of time just wandering around the pond, and then seeing that water forced through high pressure through a hose at some deserving target. And that's what the sting feels like.
Yeah.
We're going to take this charm and all that, and we're going to give it this laser-like focus.
Yep. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I give this movie a 6.5 out of 10. Higher than
you know what's funny? I was going to give it a 7.
Cool.
I'm the guy who likes it the least, and I give it the best rating.
I just get a kick out of the two of them. That's why I would give it a 7.
Well, here's the thing. The reason I give this a little lower rating than you is because of the history. It should be more historically accurate. That's again. Look, there are 20, 22, 23 now movies made about Billy the Kid. Okay. I don't know how many Butch Cassidy movies and Sundance Kid movies there are, but if you're gonna tell a movie about the actual people, then tell that movie. You could still have some of this charm in the movie, but they don't. That's not their focus here. Their focus is take Robert Redford, who's an accomplished actor, an up-and-coming star, to meet with the older star. This is a buddy movie in every way possible, and I understand that. But you also, I love the scenery, I love the score, but I can't give it higher than that because of the inaccuracy of the movie, in my opinion. So, and I like this movie.
Yeah, but you want to see historical accuracy in a movie that takes place in a historical setting. I get that. That's fine. That's legit.
Yeah. Like I said, when we did Wyatt Earp tells you Wyatt Earp's early life. It doesn't just tell you about Tombstone. It tells you about his life.
Yeah.
Whereas the movie Tombstone tells you about the end of Wyatt Earp's life.
Well, at the end of his sort of outlaw lawman life anyway, because Wyatt Earp had an interesting life. He ended up becoming a film consultant in Hollywood at the end of his life.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. There's a really kind of a bad film with
Sunset.
Yes. It's not that
Sunset,
bad, but it's not that great either.
That's not that great.
It's about Wyatt Earp and Tom Mix, who actually knew each other. They brushed up against each other in Hollywood. Although Wyatt was much older at that time than is depicted in Sunset.
You know what? You know what I think happened? I think Blake Edwards went and saw Three Amigos, which is, even though they are fictional characters, they take place in a real milieu, and is so historically inaccurate to that milieu and so unfunny that I think Blake just said, I'm old.
I'll do this.
But I have to do this just so there's some other voice dealing with that. Yeah, I like that movie. But I like that period of Blake Edwards. I like Skin Deep also, which is not one of his better regarded movies, but I like it a lot.
Is that the one that glows in the dark? The movie that glows
condom scene. The condom scene, yeah. See, my idea for how you do that condom scene, or a variation on it, is it's the 3 hat routine. With 3 very different condoms.
Or 3
and they keep getting mixed up. They keep having to put them on each other, and it's like the wrong ones here and there, and then they look and yeah, that's my idea. Classy.
Yes,
I'm a classy guy.
Well,
Jewel it's just so sad. Even the 3 condom routine can't pull his spirits up.
I was when I was watching this when they're about midway, when they're on the run from the super posse and they can't get away from them, and talking about the white hat and all that. I was like, oh my God, this movie has so much scenery porn for Jewel. I understand why he likes it now.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I mean, it's gorgeous scene.
Nothing makes me wetter than a Galapagos than dry, naked desert.
Oh, no,
okay?
No.
Okay?
You got the wrong genitals, Jewel.
Okay.
You didn't even get. Now I'm seeing you with something else.
Whoa!
And it's a tough.
He's intersex, folks.
God, Jewel, what the hell is wrong with you?
We're just having fun, God. Anyway.
Let's all go to the mountains.
Right. Listen.
Dr. Frankenstein.
I gotta put this knife in my ear so I can't hear anymore.
Sorry.
My only weakness.
If Butch is available for tomorrow, we're gonna do Key Largo. If he's not, we're gonna do episode 278 of Dark Shadows. Okay.
All right. I like it.
So Butch,
Joel.
Yeah.
For in 2 weeks.
Yes.
I'm going to do my best to be there tomorrow night because I was just thinking about Key Largo recently, right after we did Maltese Falcon. But for 2 weeks from tonight,
Yes.
which will be my turn to pick, I'm going to be nice. I have 5 films here.
Oh, hi.
I'm really behind. I've gotten, I usually get about 5-10 movies to Christmas, birthday. I'm still behind on watching them. So all of these are movies that I have not watched yet. So I'm gonna let you pick, Joel. And if you guys want to show up, you're more than welcome.
Yes.
So here's
what is it? What are your choices?
First, you have Man of a Thousand Faces with James
Cagney.
Jimmy Cagney, yep.
Night of the Hunter with Robert Mitchum. Krull, Krull.
With Ken Marshall.
Yeah. And
Or no,
Elizabeth
that wasn't Krull. What was the Ken Marshall thing with the glaive?
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you remember that.
How about that one?
The Krull.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
That's got what's that?
Here's the one I think.
So she plays the young.
Yeah.
My Darling Clementine.
Ooh,
Sweet movie.
That's a great movie.
Classic.
Pick Joel.
I'm a big Henry Fonda fan. I'm gonna pick My Darling Clementine.
I figured you would. See, I get to take the shrink wrap off. That's how this film is.
Now you got the excuse.
Yeah. Yes.
Not that you need much of one, I'm sure, but there it goes.
Yeah.
Joel, 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Our version of unboxing.
I'll get with you tomorrow.
Okay. First of all, I want to thank everybody for doing this movie with me. Link to Patrick McCray's Dark Shadows Day Book of Mountains is going to be in the description box. Link to Alan Gallant's YouTube channel, Colin Sport After Dark, is going to be in the description box. You guys have a great night. Hope to see you tomorrow.
Take care.
Bye.